am out here in 1,000-degree weather and all the cicadas and mosquitoes and all those things happening to talk all about the AFC West. So this is AFC West week. For those of you that aren't aware, AFC West consists of the Las Vegas Raiders, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Denver Broncos. You have the Kansas City Chiefs in this division who, let's be honest, just got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. So there's that. And then you have the Chargers who, in my opinion, had a very good draft and had a decent season last year. I think they overachieved. And then we also have the Denver Broncos, who I also feel like overachieved last year. And then we have the Las Vegas Raiders, and I'm not sure what to think of the Raiders, but I do know that they're going to try, and I do know that they're going to be well coached. And speaking of the coaches, and this division, in my opinion, probably has the best coaches overall. They have Pete Carroll, you have Andy Reid, you have Sean Payton, and then for God's sakes, you have Jim Harbaugh. I think this division is one of the best coached divisions, if not the best coached division in the entire NFL. And so this AFC West is going to be very interesting this season. Last year, they got 3 teams in the playoffs, and I think 2 of those teams overachieved a little too early. So there's that. However, this year is a new year. I don't know what is going to happen in the AFC West. I don't know who is going to be up for the challenge. I don't know if the Chiefs fix that offensive line. I don't know if the Chargers fixed what they have going on. I don't know if the Raiders are going to actually be contenders. And the scariest part of all of this, I don't know if Bo Nix is going to get better, if he's going to have a second-year slump. I don't really know what to make of this division, but I think it's going to be competitive, and I think it's going to be interesting. The other thing I think this division is going to come down to, it's going to come down to coaching, first of all, first and foremost. It's also going to come down to who runs the ball the most effective, and I think it's going to be who can generate the best pass rush, because I think each of these quarterbacks on each team is able to lead their team very well. And if you can disrupt the quarterback, we saw this in the Super Bowl thanks to the Chiefs, if you can disrupt the quarterback, then you're on to something. So I am going to be paying very close attention to pass rush, and I'm going to be paying very close attention to see who runs the ball effectively. And I just might think that the Chargers might have gotten a steal in the draft with their running back, and that's not a disrespect to Ashton Genty. I don't know. This division is interesting to me. I think this division is going to be worth watching. So if you're somebody that usually doesn't watch any West football, and if you're somebody that always says, like, I don't know what's going on in the West, I don't know what's happening in the West, this is the year you should know what is absolutely happening in the West, because I think it's going to be interesting, and I don't think you're going to regret that. If you like the content you're getting, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to leave me a comment. Don't forget to turn on those notification bells and do all the YouTube things. I want to thank every single person that talked to me from the AFC West. I also want to mention that in the comment description of all of their videos and in the description of this video, you will be able to see all the people that I talked to and find them on all their social media platforms and all of those different things. I also want to say here, I think the way I'm going to order this division might surprise some people, because I have some thoughts. I want to get into these clips, and then I'll talk about my thoughts on the other side of this video.
Really being able to kind of assess a bigger picture of what's going on and how you're feeling.
Yeah, I think that as far as the rookie, kind of aspect of it is concerned, I agree with you. Like, rookies generally in the NFL are things that are picked, for that 3 to 4 year window, 5-year window of what they're going to be on your rookie contract. And you get more than that. Obviously, that's great. But It doesn't necessarily have to be a year one thing. And specifically in the way in which we have to operate because of Patrick Mahomes' contract, because Chris Jones' contract, because now Creed and these guys are getting paid. There is a level of we need to continue to plan 2 to 3 years out because of the expectations that we have every year to be a championship caliber team. Because we have Patrick Mahomes, we are in a title window every single year. And that's not like, I don't look at it as an arrogant thing, and I also don't look at it as bad.
It is what it is.
It is an expectation of having the best player in the sport, in my
period. Period.
And I love the fact that this front office's coaching staff also approaches it that way as well, because that is not always how sports owners or front offices do approach things as well. And so I'm happy for that. But yeah, I think that the rookies that we got, because of where we set ourselves up in free agency, and Brett Veach does a good job of being able to go into the draft and understand that this team can play a game before any of these rookies ever come in. but also understanding of where we can best put these guys in to be successful. So if Josh Simmons is healthy enough to play week 1, then that's cool. He can be our left tackle and or at least compete for that job with Jalen Moore. If not, then it's okay. We're covered as far as that is concerned. I think Omar Norman Lott, our second round pick, can come in and give us rotational defensive pass rush snaps, which I think we need.
They're looking at the defensive side of the ball. They go and get a long, lengthy cornerback from Iowa State that, Pete Carroll, that's right up his alley, right? If that doesn't scream, the Legion of Boom, I don't know what does.
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's yeah. I mean, look, I mean, 6'4" and runs got great speed, like 4.3, 4.4 speed, like that's fantastic. So then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, that's going to Pete Carroll's side of the ball. Now he wants the defense. And then they go back and get a couple offensive linemen before round 3 is over. They had 5 picks in the top 100. So, I mean, I'm leaving day 2 of the draft like, wow, the Raiders just got 5 picks knocked out in 3 rounds. And I'm walking around the media room to the people that I see all the time, my colleagues that normally say, what the hell are the Raiders doing, Q? To this time they're saying, hey, man, these guys are having a really good draft. Your team is having a really good draft. I like that guy in the 3rd round. Man, I like that guy. Man, I like that guy. It's like I'm hearing things that I will never hear. I never hear a lot of compliments of what the Raiders are doing. And all of a sudden this time I got people patting me on the back like I did something. I was like, oh, okay. All right, that's dope. Yeah,
I like it.
They did it.
Yeah, I thought the Raiders. So the other thing I like about the draft too is as it builds, like at first you're kind of like the first pick is always kind of a shock because you're like, okay, so what's going to be our second one? And then it's like a puzzle. Then as it kind of starts to go together, you're like, all right, okay, it becomes a thing. So I like that. And like I said, Pete Carroll has an identity. Pete Carroll has a plan because it is what it is.
Great question. An underrated player that people need to be paying attention to. I'm sick of him getting crapped on. And honestly, it's Courtland Sutton. A lot of people will talk about him as not a true number 1 wide receiver. And I don't care. He's been fantastic for us. He doesn't create any drama. He's never complaining when he's not getting the ball. I think he has set the tone when it comes to having an egoless offense. I know that sounds really strange probably to a lot of NFL fans, but we have very good vibe, very good chemistry. A lot of former team captains and stuff like that are on this offense. And Courtland Sutton, he's going into a contract year. He's 30 years old now, so he's coming towards the end. I don't know if he'll get extended, but he's done a very good job at developing chemistry with every crappy quarterback that he's come here. And, he essentially, had a career year or the second best year of his career with a rookie this year. And I'm expecting them to build on that quite a bit. He's a winning player. He makes plays in the clutch for us all the time. I don't think he'll ever be appreciated to the level that he should be because he kind of took over for Demaryius Thomas, who's our best receiver in, franchise history. But yeah, I
all the way around.
That's a tough question. The emotions were there after the game, and that's easy to fall into they were charging and such. I just think all the small holes just reared its ugly head. Okay. There wasn't a chance for Justin Herbert to climb up. The momentum of the game was taken away from them. The offensive line, especially our interior offensive line, the edges were good on the interior. They knew how to get to him. So this year, they did look at a lot of those areas. There's some areas they're still in question. But as I mentioned, you look at it as a whole and damn, we weren't even supposed to be there. We weren't, in a national, no one was giving us any attention or anything until maybe the last few weeks. So, so I although it was unfortunate and us Charger fans are kind of used to it, it's different this year because we have a new coach, because we have a new GM, and just a lot of internal changes. More hopeful to say. So
okay. Is there any draft pick that you didn't like, that you were just kind of like, okay?
There wasn't a bad pick, and it's very rare for me, I guess, to think or say that.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, like in the past, we've drafted.
So my favorite thing about doing this is I get to make my own decisions and I get to decide how I want to release these, and I am going to do that. So for those of you that are new here, if this is the first division you're going to be watching, the team I release on Monday is going to be the team I think is going to finish 4th in the division, and the team I think that's going to finish 1st is actually going to release on Thursday. You're probably going to be in for a surprise. I think I'm going to do it. I think the other thing is I think it's time to shake up some things. I think it's time to see something a little bit differently. I am just going to say that. I want to say again, thank you to every single person that has watched this series, that is here. This is the next to last division to release, and that sounds a little weird saying that, but thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you don't agree with the order and the way these videos are going to release, I would apologize, but I'm actually not sorry. I'm just kind of throwing some things into the atmosphere and seeing what sticks. Anyways, I will see you in my next video.